Hello, everybody. Um, I don't know if you've seen the news and like certain articles, but like I'm telling you, this is from a legitimate source, and and I knew this was gonna happen because as soon as I saw the price of their games, not their system, their games, and not almost, actually, all of their new game titles for the Switch 2 were gonna be close to around $100. And people around the world, even in UK or wherever, they're canceling their pre-order. And now the reason why the pre-orders that people done and now they're canceling their pre-order is because Nintendo, and I'm just gonna say this curse word out loud because there's another reason why I hate them, but this is another thing too, because they fucked up. Okay, everybody knows that Nintendo messed up big time. And like they didn't mess up with the console. The console was fine. But like they're asking too much for the games. Plus, here's another thing I'm going to reveal to you why I hate them. Because I stopped buying games from them. And I may buy at least one game, but not the expensive games. And I didn't buy none of the games on sale. I bought one game extra, and but this was like after they put the lawsuit against Pocket Pair and Palworld. So what I did was I said, fuck them, man, fuck them. Because when they put the lawsuit against Palworld, okay? And yes, there are lawsuits, like two of them already went through. But for some reason, they haven't got the third lawsuit yet. And yeah, they had a bunch of lawsuits set for Pocket Pair through Palworld, their inspired game that took inspiration from Pokemon. But the problem is, the last few lawsuits haven't been done. They say they're gonna try and do it no matter what, regardless. But the problem is, if they don't make enough money, and if I think about it correctly, they have one lawyer or so, right? But like, hey, you gotta pay the lawyer, right? And how are they able to pay their lawyer? Okay? Think about it. Remember political things that happened before with who is our president? He paid a lot of lawyers, but he didn't pay them what he promised them. But the reason for that was at that time, the president was actually going low on profitability. So, and he may say he's a billionaire, but the reason why he's a billionaire now and before he lost money. So, as an example, Nintendo has done that same mistake. Not only, it's not the lawsuit that also was their mistake, but like the price of their games. I mean, the price of the Switch 2 is fair, but like putting all their games close to around $100. Think about it. Yeah, maybe some content creators will afford it, but some content creators will be like, screw Nintendo, they're charging too much now. Because, some content creators are big, But some content creators who want to start a Nintendo Switch content are forced to give up on them. And not even just content creators, but like people who want to afford a Switch 2 can afford a Switch 2, but the problem is if the Switch 2 games are too much money and it's not the fair deal. And let me just put you guys some information and a little bit of wisdom on another thing that killed them off. They made an excuse about the price that Sony did with their console and their game during the pandemic. But the problem is, their console ain't worth the amount the PlayStation 5 is worth. And the other thing is, people are not supporting Nintendo anymore. And the reason why is the games, the price of the games. So there might be a chance, like if Nintendo's market is suffering, right? And let's say I looked up because so Nintendo America may not go down unless the parent company goes down. So, but I looked up, can Nintendo Japan shut down? It said yes, and then it says, but Nintendo America will have to take over. But here's the downside to that, okay? If they're gonna sell the Switch 2 and try to continue what they did, Nintendo America would fall because now they're screwing the market price value of their games. I mean, their Switch 2 is a fine price. It's not that bad. It's just their games. All their new game titles are around, let's say, $89.99 to $99.99, right? And they're not really in bundles. So like all these games that you get digitally, they're not like the ones in PlayStation. They don't do what PlayStation does. So you're getting, well, they do somewhat what they do. So like, but the problem is the original price for a standard game on digital on the Nintendo eShop. You see what I mean? A standard version of the game is gonna cost close to around $100. Close. So it would be around $80 to $90. So like, they screw themselves up. Like, can they see that if they put an excuse, an example for an excuse, they're screwing themselves entirely. Meaning, if they're not able to make a good, successful business because they're mistakes, then that means they won't be able to finish the lawsuit against Palworld. And that is the good news there. And I just want to let everybody know that I had a friend alongside me. We both saw this coming. And my friend saw it way before I did, though. Because he was the one that told me if they made a next-gen Nintendo Switch system, they would have to not only improve the system's CPU, but they'll have to make it where it lasts longer, okay? And the leaks and information news reporting about how much the Switch 2 would last if it wasn't charging, okay? The graphical power will drain the batteries so freaking fast that it is no joke, man. That's why when I looked all up that and And when I talked to my friend, and he told me that he told me this was gonna happen, and I was like, yeah, I believe you now. And he also told me a situation with the games. You know how the Switch now that you have, the Switch that you have now, think about it. The portable Switch Lite, the original Switch, dock and TV connected. Why you think they made an update that where just in case if you go out where there's no internet? Because let me tell you something, guys. When I didn't have internet on my Switch and I had a digital downloaded game that I purchased, so let's say if I purchased an offline game and I download it at home, but I decide to take it out. At that time, they didn't have the free option for people to play wherever they go if they didn't have any internet. Trust me, you know why? How I know? Because I've downloaded offline play games, single player games, and I'm forced to use internet outside of my house, or I'm forced to stay in my house where the internet is. So now they made an update, and now your digital games are virtual game cartridges, meaning they turned the digital games into the real thing. So, they used to be just digital downloaded games, but they weren't digital cartridges. And they didn't have, nobody could play them outside of the house, those games that they download. And that harmed them too, in a way too. So like, I was pissed off whenever I went out, I couldn't play my Xenoblade Chronicles 3 digital version. And now, I can. But the problem is, when they shut down their servers, you will have to be forced to keep the games that you want to play the most on your Switch and don't delete them. Okay? And I'm telling you, I'm letting you guys know, do not delete the games you like. Because there's a chance, there is a slight chance that not even Nintendo America will be successful. Because there's a chance that Nintendo of America, because, I read this up, if Nintendo Japan shuts down, as long as the parent company still exists, Nintendo America will still exist here in the US. Meaning, but the problem is, if they stay with the same price as the one that Japan is bringing here, because Nintendo America, the things that I read up about them, if Nintendo Japan shuts down, that they will try to continue where Nintendo Japan left off. But the problem is, when Nintendo Japan shuts down, okay, and Nintendo America takes over, there's a chance that they might stay with that same price. Because the parent company is the reason why the Nintendo shops, the Nintendo companies have their resource. Okay? And let me check something. I forget where Nintendo's parent company is. I believe it's in Japan, but I'm not too sure. So let's find out, shall we? Everyone. Oh, we're gonna have a good laugh at this. Where is Nintendo's parent company from? Nintendo is a Japanese company based in Japan. Specifically, Nintendo's headquarters are located in Kyoto, Japan. The company was funded in 1889 by Fusajiro Yamauchi, who began as a producer. So, yeah, Nintendo Co. Ltd is their branch, and it is in Japan, in Kyoto. So, let me check something up here, okay? If Nintendo shops are not making, well, hold on. If both Nintendo companies are not making any profit, can their parent company go down? See, they don't tell you the truth, okay? Like, they don't say the truth. See, they say here that Nintendo.com, .co, .ltd are facing declining net sales and profit. It's like they're declining in sales, okay? So Nintendo has experienced a significant drop in net sales and profit margin. This is largely due to the aging Switch console and the upcoming release of Switch 2. And they don't want to tell you too much. So they're hiding information, guys. They are hiding the truth, okay? They say a lot of this bullshit, right? Like declining sales and profit. That's something, right? That like the profit and sales that they make from all their products. That is what's keeping them alive, okay? So, but like if Nintendo companies from America and Japan lose a lot of profit, will the parent company lose enough profit if no sales and shut down? It didn't search it. If Nintendo's parent company is not making any money, is there a chance it could go bankrupt and shut down? See, there's information, but they're saying it's certainly possible for company to struggle financially, leading to a potential bankruptcy or closure. Nintendo is not in that situation, and there is a very low possibility. No, that ain't true right there. You see, like it's stupid. Like because the truth ain't out there. If you search up with AI, they don't tell you the whole truth, okay? And this is the problem, okay? This is the problem, alright? Ooh, here it is, guys. Hold on. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Okay. Alright. And this is on Reddit, guys. Someone just found out this information, okay? Nintendo is the richest Japanese company according to Toyo Kiza. The company topped the ranking Cash and Cash guy is called Two Best Friends Play. I would like to emphasize that this considered step which is why the usual suspect, like Sony, these are people blaming it on Sony, man. It has nothing to do with Sony. It has something to do with Nintendo putting an excuse for an example. They put an example as an excuse. And now all these Nintendo supporters, man, are pissed off and they're taking it out on Sony. And Toyota aren't mentioned, since they have a lot of debt. Nintendo, on the other hand, is an insane company that operates like a dragon sitting on a money herd. So it has no debt. That ain't true. That is not true. Okay? Nothing is unlike other consoles manufacturers who tend to sell systems at a hefty loss early on. Though I believe newer PS5 hardware revisions are profitable, Nintendo aims to sell their hardware at a big profit alongside power consumption, battery life. That's one of the reasons we haven't seen them target high spec since the GameCube. It wouldn't work for that business model. So the PS5 hardware being sold at a profit is actually more in question. So you see all these people on Reddit, and this guy is known as the Big Cheeseburger, the Cheeseburger King. Oh my god. I honestly didn't know that. I wonder how they're going to work with future gens, because rumors of Switch 2 says it should be closer to current gen standards. So wouldn't they start taking less profit if they have us to start upgrading? I really would the casual audience not care. So that means this guy knows what's his name, no good to do, right? What he's saying here, if I'm correctly here, he's saying that the reason why the casual audience don't care is because of when they upgrade, right? But take this information with a grain of salt, because I don't really fully understand what this guy means. But I'm trying to guess, and this is a theory, or more like a rumor from my end of my video source, is that casual players are not able to afford it or the games. So like, see, most of the profit comes from content creators alone alongside with casual customers, okay? So that means oh man, like that bald gamer who is a Nintendo supporter through and through. See, I used to be a Nintendo supporter because I love their systems and I love their games. Okay, don't get me wrong. There was a time where I wasn't against Nintendo, but that was before the Switch 2 and their pricing for the Switch 2 games have got announced. So I felt like when I saw the Switch 2's price, I was like, that's okay, right? But the games, bad, 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 bad. Oh boy, it was so catastrophic, or however you want to say the word. So you see, they say that the parent company, no matter how much profit they lose, they'll still exist. But the problem is, if it's just the parent company, Meaning that means if the parent company is still living, right? That means if the parent company, because they're the ones who are usually in control of the manufacturing and making the product, right? And so that way it could sell. So if Nintendo Japan ceased to exist and Nintendo America ceased to exist, they won't have a market, okay? Meaning, and that's my opinion, okay? People don't have to believe me. People don't have to agree with me. I'm pretty sure some people will have some agreements of what I'm saying here. And I'm pretty sure some people will get what I'm trying to get at, you know? So like, yeah, if like if there's no way for a product to go on sale, there's a chance, yeah, the parent company, if it's still alive, they won't make hardware. They would focus on digital games. But like those games won't come to other consoles. Maybe Xbox, because I've read news on Xbox, Microsoft. Phil Spencer said he's willing to bring and support the games that are on the Switch on his platform. But that's not what Nintendo is agreeing to do, you know? I feel like Microsoft CEO Phil Spencer, I feel like he's trying to pull a crowd, you know, and lie to people. And you know, Sony has never said nothing about supporting, they never said anything about supporting Nintendo franchises. But like, let's just think about it. Some of the studios, some of the developers that if they lose a lot of profit and if they go down, a lot of these developers that made the games for Nintendo would have to bring some of their games, because some of these developers are willing to bring a game to another platform. I'm sure of it. Because then if they don't, then they'll go bankrupt too, right? Or they would have to focus on mobile, cash wall games, paywall games. And that wouldn't be good, okay? Because if they start working like all these game developers that develop titles for the Switch 2 for Nintendo, if they're forced to go solo and work with mobile titles, regardless, they're gonna come to the certain consoles, right? Like, why wouldn't it, right? So let's say the developers of Xenoblade Chronicles, if they're not willing to bring a title to PS5 and other platforms, if Nintendo goes down completely, that means they're gonna try to do a cash grab, right? There's a chance they could do a cash grab, or they can do the right thing and just work with other studios, other gaming studios, such as like with Sony or Microsoft. You know what I mean? And that would be the best option, in my opinion. Because if Nintendo shuts down as a whole, which if you look up in the internet, they don't give all that sort of information, because the way it is Nintendo is hiding secrets, okay? Pokemon Company and Nintendo of America, you know, Nintendo of America has their own animated studio for the Pokemon anime, okay? But the problem is Pokemon is suffering. Pokemon Company is suffering because they are taking all the credit for mechanics, for artwork. Yeah, this game has a lot of art that are tweaked, but they take the art from Pokemon, yes, but they tweak it. You see what I mean? Look at all the mons in the screen that you see right now, man. If you think about it, where does that penguin take some inspiration with the art? Some. But it's tweaked. And then you see the one on the other side between the mammoth. The mammoth, I would say it takes inspiration from, because it doesn't really look like complete mammoth, you know. I think it takes inspiration from two different Pokemons. Mamoswine, or whatever it was called, the evolved form, the final evolved form, the ice type form, evolution typing Pokemon. And it also takes somewhat inspiration from the elephant Pokemon in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Okay? But like, look, the color, the artwork, it is completely different. It is tweaked. They changed the way the mons looked when they used the generator. They changed it to a point where it had no, like, no, how you say the word, they were nothing like Pokemon. They're nothing like Pokemon. Yeah, they had some artworks that they tweaked out from the art generator of the Pokemon art. But like, look at them. Even like Anubis. He looks somewhat like Lucario, but on steroids, you know? He looks more different than Lucario. He's not Lucario. He is Anubis. But some part of his art style, the way his looks are, the shape and form of his form, you know, the way his legs are, the way his arms are, the art style of a humanoid shape, just like what Lucario was, right? Think about it. It's not the same. It's gold and it looks like an actual Anubis, or whatever you want to call it. You know, the giant, like, ancient pharaoh thing, right? That one looks exactly like Anubis. Huh? One of the Egyptian gods. Okay? It's nothing like Lucario. It takes the fighting combat style for him to be like Lucario, okay? But the way he looks is nothing like Lucario. People in the toxic side that are against Palworld are saying, oh, that's just Lucario. Oh, that's just Electabuzz. Excuse me, gases. But I'm just gonna say this right now. They're not Pokemon. They're nothing like the Pokemon because their art style is tweaked, okay? So they're not Pokemon. They just take inspiration from the art of Pokemon. Some bit. And to be honest, I looked this up during my last stream that I used to have a lot of videos on the channel, but I explained how that Pokemon Company said they own the rights to the throwing mechanic in Pokemon. And I looked it up while I was streaming too, before I deleted all of my content on YouTube. Okay, this platform right here that we are looking at, that you are looking at my stream from. I looked up if the throwing mechanic takes inspiration from sports, do they own it? Guess what? Nope, they do not own it. And where did they take inspiration from? Sports. Meaning they don't own no rights. So what's happening now, I can already see what Pocket Pair is doing. They already knew Nintendo was gonna drop and go down, okay? They already knew Nintendo was gonna flop. I'm pretty darn sure, but that's with a grain of salt, this information. But I'm pretty sure they knew. If they didn't, it don't matter. Because, see, the thing was, Pocket Pair was gonna be willing to bring their game to the Switch 2 if Nintendo and Pokemon Japan would just drop the case. But it didn't. So that means Nintendo loses and Pocket Pair wins. If Nintendo as a whole goes down, which they don't tell you in the internet that it can happen, okay? Meaning they don't get no more titles. Some of those studios, like the company Xenoblade Chronicles, either Sony or Microsoft would have to work with them. But the problem is profitability, their sales are going low and they are losing a lot of money too. I saw this on TV from an actual legitimate news source. And there'll be people that say, oh, but only one source, it's not true. News is always lie. No. The news station that are usually legitimate are the ones that tell you what's going on, okay? And there's a lot of people who don't like the news at all. They don't like MSNBC. Why? They supported a guy. I'm going to bring this up. I'm going to bring politics up because this is going to be as an example, okay? People that supported wealthy people, like Trump, who is not wealthy anymore as we speak, and the people that he sent to take other people who are from different nationalities. Like, imagine, they would come after me, right? Because I'm Puerto Rican, and what will they say? They would do the most racist thing they can. And they would say, oh, you're from this country, you're from this Spanish country, Mexico, or you're from Africa. Dude, leader of the United States, Trump, who you are not leading the right path. And people who are now understanding this, thank you for understanding about damn time. But that's all I wanted to say is what I already said, what I had to say about Nintendo and profit that they're making and them going down, and Pocket Pair will probably end up winning. That means if they don't have money to pay a lawyer to continue the lawsuit, then Pocket Pair wins. And all the mechanics will eventually come back to Power. See, Pocket Pair, before I end the stream, guys, Pocket Pair, they kept fighting for their game to strive and live and continue on. And because they fought back in the lawsuit, because think about it, they made all that money off of their game that was digital, right? And that means they made almost enough money to keep the lawsuit at bay. So, uh, before I end the stream, guys, if you haven't already, if you guys enjoyed this stream and or video, shall I say, I appreciate all the support people have given me on the channel. I mean, it's not a lot of support, you know, but like it's awesome that there's really good people in this world who would support my channel and who would be willing to support my channel on YouTube. I mean, I'll still make like short like videos on my YouTube unless I decide to make like because now I'm starting to play a game called Crystal of Atlan, and I've been streaming that a little bit more on YouTube than any other game, you know. I mean, yeah, I haven't played Power World in such a long time because I'm waiting for the opportune moment. I'm waiting for Nintendo Japan and Nintendo as a whole to fail, because when I saw that Nintendo America is agreeing to that lawsuit, and that's why it gets patched here in the US through Power World, I just said screw it. I'll keep the Nintendo games I have, and if they do have a game, I'm not gonna support them like that, okay? I'm gonna support them so little until they die, because they're not gonna make enough money out of me. You see, what Nintendo is doing right now is they're being greedy. Alrighty, guys. I'm sorry I kept chatting and I said I was gonna end. So, yeah, guys. Just wanted to say huge thanks for the people supporting me so far. And I look forward to making more Crystal of Atlan streams because, hey, I've already beaten the content that's out. And I have I have two friends actually, who also beated the content. I think one of my other friends beat it, but one of my friends that I hanged out with a while ago, he's already beaten the whole content. And let's just say I'll be focused on Crystal of Atlan. So, alright guys, thanks for all the support, you guys, and I'll make sure to keep the comments showing. So when I do my next live stream on YouTube with Crystal of Atlan, hey, feel free to chat on the stream. There may be a chance where I'll miss certain comments, so if I miss certain comments, I'll use my phone as the backup to read the comments while I live stream. Because, you know, on the PS5 it's not as easy as the PS4, because the PS4 has something that PlayStation 5 doesn't. But alright guys, I appreciate the continuous support, and I'll try to continue making as many guides on Crystal of Atlan because that's what I'm focused on. And when Power World wins the case, I'll be streaming Power World a lot more often. But other than that, guys, I'll see you soon. And again, thank you for the support. I really appreciate it. And if some of my viewers who used to comment on my channel, if they're upset or anything, I do apologize. It's just I go through I went through a lot of stress since late last year on December 1st. So I do apologize, and I've been through a lot of stress this year too. But hey, it's a special moment, right? It's a celebration moment. So, all right, guys. I'll probably make another stream in a little bit, and I gotta get a drink because I don't have nothing for one of my pills. And my dad started trusting me with my medication, and I have my medication with me in my room because the reason why he trusts me, and I'll make another video explaining that when I make my Let's Play. But okay, guys, I gotta get a drink. I gotta get it put here just in case when I take one of my medications. So, alright, guys, see you in the next stream, and thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for supporting my streams. And I am sorry I've been very quiet for a long time, even when I'm usually streaming. And there were times where I just didn't pay attention to the comments. But, alright, guys, see you in the next stream, which should be happening soon, either on YouTube or on Twitch. But I feel like YouTube should be continued, you know? But, alright, guys, laters. And everybody, stay safe, be strong, and stay cool. This is John Amado, who is John Gaming. I don't usually share my full name, but I shared half of my name. John Amado, known as John Gaming, and I'm out.